For 2022, BMW has updated the 2 Series, the sort of entry-level sports car in BMW's sedan lineup. This is a 2022 BMW M240i xDrive, and it really is the only available model here in Canada. Now, there's a lot to know about this vehicle. There's quite a bit that's changed. It's not just a facelift. This is a complete second generation, the new G42 BMW 2 Series. Now, what can I tell you about this Thundernight Metallic paint? First of all, looks fantastic. This is sort of the official BMW 2 Series color now. It is new for this model year, and I think it looks great. If you've watched other videos on the new 2 Series, it's probably been finished in this paint color, as it is sort of the official color for this car. So BMW has configured probably all of the press cars globally with this same sort of build. Now, the MSRP for this is $68,000 and change Canadian, about $56,000 in the States. That is a little high considering the BMW M2 that we featured a few years ago with the Black Shadow Edition was about $73,000 Canadian. So this is pushing it when it comes to a 2 Series that isn't a full M car. Underneath the hood is the B58 straight 6 3-liter engine producing 382 horsepower, 368 pound-feet of torque, and that engine is pretty familiar. We just talked about it when it came to the X3 M40i. The major difference with this is there is no mild hybrid system. Now, BMW has improved the 2 Series over the previous generation. Not only has the wheelbase and length gotten longer, wheelbase being longer is ultimately better for the drive, but the front and rear track of the vehicle has also increased quite a bit as well, giving it a much more planted feel on the road and giving you better driving mannerisms when you're pushing it hard. BMW says that the xDrive system is still a rear drive bias setup. So if you're driving it around normally or you have it in sport mode, you will feel a little bit more coming from the rear end than you do anywhere else. And I actually picked this vehicle up in the last, hopefully, snowstorm of this year, our 4th winter here in Quebec. And I have to say that it performed beautifully. I am actually glad BMW asked if I wanted to put the summer tires on for this one, and I said no. So big thanks that they kept them on, because it would have been in a lot of trouble yesterday with the conditions that we had here. But this new 2 Series improves on what was already good about the previous generation. The front end has been updated, a new kidney grille, new headlights, new front end, as well as a rear end with taillights that BMW says are 3D sculpted. I think they look really nice. It's sort of like the inverse, the taillights from the headlights. They look pretty cool. And the inside has gotten a complete overhaul as well. Again, very similar to what the current generation of BMW vehicles has to offer. On the inside, we have iDrive 7, digital cockpit, tri-zone climate control, heated front seats, as well as a new design on the door cards themselves. They have a backlit inlay. This one has been upgraded to the BMW M colors, which I think looks very nice. So overall, you get quite a bit of kit, and it is, a little bit more expensive than you might have paid for a couple years ago. And again, the price is quite close now to the M2. Now, yes, BMW has improved the wheelbase and the track on the vehicle, but they didn't stop there. BMW says that the aerodynamics have been optimized to reduce the lift on the vehicle by 50%, as well as the negative camber being increased on the front wheels. You can see it pretty well on the B-roll that we capture. They do dig in quite a bit when you're turning the wheels. So it's not just to make it look prettier and some other cosmetic changes to make the 2 Series even better than it was before. BMW has engineered it to be better than it was before in many ways. And this generation, since it shares the same platform as pretty much every other BMW made today, has a near 50-50 weight distribution, which is, again, great if you're taking it on the track. But let's talk about that engine. Again, a straight 6 engine producing some very good numbers for a 2 Series. In fact, if you compare it to the previous M240i xDrive, which we never got to drive, that vehicle only had 335 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, and BMW says it would have done 0 to 100 kilometers in 4.4 seconds. This 4.1 seconds. But how does it compare to the things that really matter? The elephant in the room, the title of our video, the BMW M2 that we drove back in 2018. 365 horsepower, 343 pound-feet of torque. This has more. That vehicle did 4.5 seconds, 0 to 100. This is faster. But don't stop there. How about the M2 competition? That was the real BMW M car. Had the actual M engine in it. 405 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. Only 4.2 seconds. This is still faster in a straight line. The M2 CS, the holy grail of the BMW 2 Series. 444 horsepower, same torque, 4 seconds flat. So this is almost as quick as that vehicle. Now, I know what you're saying. Yes, it has xDrive. That is essentially the reason why it's able to get off the line so quick compared to the rear-wheel drive only M2. That's fine. But as of right now, there is no new M2. I'm sure we're going to be seeing it very soon, but as of filming this, this is it. If you want a 2 Series, you're going for the M240i xDrive, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. But I want to take this vehicle on the road. I want to talk about how it performs, how it drives, everything about it, and all the reasons why you're going to be spending almost M2 money on this for a vehicle that is faster than an M2, but is not. All right, my friends, I know what is on the top of your mind when it comes to this BMW M240i. It's the fuel economy. We completed our test loop in Eco Pro mode, surprisingly, in 7.9 liters per 100 kilometers with the US miles per gallon below. Not bad for a small vehicle like this. Now, we didn't do the test loop for the M2. We hadn't developed that by the time we drove that vehicle, so can't compare it to anything, but you know, overall not too bad for a BMW. But I want to talk a little bit about how this car is before we talk about the driving stuff, because I do like the look of it. First of all, color, fantastic. I'm glad that BMW went with something fun for this. You know, there's a lot of color choices when it comes to the smaller, more fun-oriented vehicles from BMW, but I feel a lot of people just take black or white or silver. It's very boring, so it's nice that this is purple. Now, I didn't mind the one that we had with the BMW X3 M40i a couple weeks ago, but I think that this stands out. So good stuff from that. The interior, again, very similar to what we've seen across the board from BMW. So if you've driven any of their recent vehicles, this will feel very familiar. And even the outside too, I mean, they've kept it pretty traditional to what the 2 Series has been up until now. They've made it bigger, which is nice. They've given it an updated, fresher look, which I think is nice. So everything about it, as far as I'm concerned, has improved over the previous generation. And that's the thing. I mean, progress should be getting better, and that's what it is. It's why this trumps the M2 from before. This is a better vehicle in a lot of ways than that M2 that we drove, which means that the next M2 should be even better. I mean, this thing is already really good, a very good daily driver, and the best real compromise between daily driving and performance. So I'm very curious to see what the next generation M2 will look like, because I'm quite satisfied with this. And kind of as I always say with any of the M performance vehicles we drive from BMW, this is probably the one that you're going to want to buy on a daily basis, especially if you live here somewhere like Quebec, where it's crappy weather a lot of the time. You can drive this year round and have a nice time with it. As I mentioned, we have the winter tires on here still, so we're not going to have the most performance oriented experience driving this around, but what can you do? Safety over fun. That's my #1 goal in life. I'd rather survive to talk about my adventures than go crazy and have some issues. So let's talk about the car, the drive, the performance, everything about it. I like it, again, very similar to what we have seen from the BMW M2 from before. So you're getting that level of performance and excitement in a vehicle that costs a little bit less. It's not a whole lot less, but still a little bit less. The drive on this is great. I mean, BMW says that the weight distribution is about 50-50. I believe it. You can really throw it into the corners like this. I know you can't really see too much on the video, but I mean, this thing really does drive like it's on rails. And it sounds very good too. Very similar to the M40i X3 that we just did. Now, again, it's the same engine without the mild hybrid system. You kind of expect that. I do like it. I like it quite a bit. Performance is definitely there. And you do have launch control. You have to drive for about 10 kilometers uninterrupted before the engine will be warm enough for you to be able to use it. I haven't done that today, so we're not going to be able to do a proper launch control launch with this vehicle. That doesn't really matter. You put your foot on the brake, you put your foot on the gas, you let go of the brake, and you're good to go. Now, I drive this car most of the time in Sport Plus mode. I keep the transmission in normal mode, drive mode. You can toss it over into Sport if you want to. And I know that 8 people will be upset that there's no manual transmission for this, but that is one of the things BMW has taken off the menu when it comes to the new 2 Series. There is no manual transmission, and it's also only a coupe, at least as of this point. They might add the convertible down the road, but at least as of filming this right now, you're getting it this way. So let's see here. If I put it into Sport mode, come to a full stop, take it from a dig. Oh, buddy. That is so fast. 100. Like, that is very, very quick. And again, we talked about it outside when we were talking about the old M2 numbers. A lot of that is to do with the xDrive system. You're getting all the power to all four wheels. You're off the line right away. And it's always been the way that it is. Four-wheel drive vehicles will launch so much faster than a two-wheel drive vehicle can, just because there's way more power going to where you need it instead of it being lost. So of course this is going to be faster. Does it take away from the drive, the excitement of it? I don't think so. I would prefer to have this because, again, I can drive it year-round and I don't have to worry about it. As we continue along on our road test, I will let you know that this vehicle is very well equipped. BMW has selected almost all of the options. There's a couple things that are missing off here which you could add. You can get a 360-degree camera system with the parking assistant, and I think it would be fine if you're looking for that. It's a smaller vehicle. You do have front parking sensors and rear parking sensors with a backup camera, so you don't necessarily need it, but it is a nice thing to have. And essentially that's it. I think everything else is option on here. We've got the heated seats, we've got the wireless charger, we've got the Harman Kardon system. You know, the options are slightly different in the US, but you can essentially get everything on this vehicle. So it depends on what you're looking for, but this one is pretty well equipped. We also have things like HomeLink and the, as I mentioned, the M colors inlaid in the side cards here, the door cards. It looks very nice. Very hard to film it, but it looks very nice at night when you're driving along, especially with the ambient lighting on the vehicle. So there's a lot of good stuff when it comes to this vehicle. A lot of it is well equipped. Yeah, you can certainly get it cheaper if you wanted it to, but I think that this is a very good representation of what somebody would be looking at if they do plan on holding on to this for a few years and not just going to lease it for a year or two. You want to enjoy it, so you want to have kind of all the features. But the fun part really is that performance. Man, this thing picks up so fast, and it helps that it's such a small vehicle compared to the X3. Yeah, the mild hybrid system, it helps a little bit, but yeah, it is a much heavier vehicle. It's a big vehicle. This thing is just really close to perfection when it comes to what a sports coupe should be. I like it quite a bit. And it's interesting, the one thing I kept thinking about when I was looking at the B-roll I filmed for this is how the shape of this is very similar to the Z4 that we drove. And yeah, there's, I'd say, quite a bit of similarities between the two. Obviously, this has a rear seat passenger area, and this is a coupe, whereas the Z4 is a roadster. But I think that there's some serious compelling reasons to take one over the other, depending on what you're looking for. This is the way that I would go because I like having a back seat, but I can definitely see people being interested in both if you're in the market. Oh man, this thing just goes, even with the winter tires. I mean, I have really complete confidence when I'm driving this thing, and that's the takeaway from this. If you're looking for a 2 Series, you want something that is fun to drive, you don't care that the manual is no longer an option, then the new 2 Series has a lot to offer. A very compelling vehicle from BMW. It gets almost all of the stuff that you would really need out of this. I mean, there's nothing that I would really want. I've got the head-up display, I've got BMW's Digital Cockpit Professional, iDrive 7, everything is here that I want. This is what I'd be looking for in this color configuration too. This is almost exactly the way that I would take it off the line. I would take the parking assistant, just have the cameras on there, because again, you're going to hold on to it maybe for 4 or 5 years. You want to have some of those things. So it's the only thing that I would add to this that this specific build does not have, and you're in business. So good job, BMW. It's going to be very hard to get tired of this one. But if you have any questions about this episode of Test Drive on this 2022 BMW M240i xDrive Coupé, please leave a comment below. I do try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can. Give a thumbs up to the video if you liked it, and consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't done so already. Until next time, thanks for watching, and take care.